explain B12 again?
Yeah, B12 is that's just between B11 and B13.
Okay.
Hope that helps. B12 is a critically important nutrient. I mean, it's a vital nutrient, and there are many vital nutrients, which means we have to have them. B12 is no different. Becoming B12 deficient is serious because it can result in brain damage, which maybe I've got B12 deficiency. Maybe that's what's going on. There are many studies that suggest, and to the layperson, demonstrate that vegans and vegetarians are in trouble because the only place you can reliably get vitamin B12 in terms of food is from animal products. Now, does anyone know why animal products have a lot of B12? Where, in fact, does vitamin B12 come from?
No.
All B12 comes from White Plains, New Jersey. Okay, not really. All B12 is manufactured by bacteria. Okay? So what do animal products have a lot of? Bacteria. I mean, that's not surprising. You have more bacteria in your body than your own human cells. Okay? There are more bacteria than our own human cells. All animals are the same way. All bacteria are manufacturing B12. It's a byproduct of what they're doing. So if you're eating animals, you're getting tons of B12. If you're eating tons of B12, you would expect to have higher serum B12 levels. What does that mean? Well, serum B12 means serum nutrient levels are how much of the substance is in the bloodstream. Okay, how much of it is in the bloodstream. Now, is this important? Well, a lot of people think it is. You should have a lot of B12 in your bloodstream. Well, do you use it in your bloodstream? You don't. You use it in your cells. Your bloodstream is how it gets there. So whether we have a high serum level or not doesn't necessarily tell us whether we're actually getting B12 or not. It turns out that most of the research demonstrates that although vegans and vegetarians have a much higher serum B12, low level of serum B12, which is what you'd expect, less B12 in the bloodstream, they tend to have almost the same rates of actual clinical B12 deficiencies as meat eaters. What does that mean? Well, that means the real problems created by not having enough B12, people eating meat are getting them at almost the same rate. Well, so how can that be if they're consuming so much of it? Well, what I've been alluding to and haven't probably said directly this morning is that nutrient deficiencies are not the result, in most cases, of not consuming enough of the stuff we need. They're the result of not assimilating the stuff we need, or not accessing it if it's been assimilated, not being able to use it somehow. Let me give you another good example of this. So we need calcium for many reasons, including building strong bones and teeth. And many people are concerned about this. In fact, as a over 30-year-old woman, you're over 30 now, aren't you? A little bit. You've probably been told by health practitioners that you need to consume more calcium, perhaps more dairy products. Dairy products are often recommended for their calcium. Do dairy products have a lot of calcium? They do. They're loaded with calcium. Is that useful to us? No, it's not. Because the calcium in dairy products are bound up by proteins we can't break down. We can't digest. They're too complex for our bodies. Remember, the dairy products that humans are consuming were never intended to be consumed by humans. They can be digested by the animals that were intended to consume them, but not by us. So, as it turns out, the countries with the highest rates of dairy consumption have the highest rates of osteoporosis. So first of all, consuming more calcium isn't necessarily useful if you can't get the calcium into your body. Second of all, it's not necessarily about needing to consume more calcium anyway, because most of the world's population, that is, the population of the places that are most densely populated, like most of Asia and most of Africa, on average, they have very, very low rates of osteoporosis, but the average person consumes roughly 18% as much calcium as people consume in the West. So it's not about consuming more calcium, okay? It's about whether the body is actually able to use the calcium that it has coming in. In most Western bodies, for a variety of reasons, that's not happening very well, and we're losing a lot of it. We're flushing a lot of it out. So the same is true with B12. It's not necessarily we need to consume tons of B12. In fact, B12 is different than most of these other nutrients, vital nutrients. Why? Well, remember, just like the cow, you've got a lot of bacteria in your body. So what are those bacteria doing? They're making B12. Well, how can you not get enough then? Well, because most people simply don't assimilate very well. Their bodies are inefficient. They're clogged up with all kinds of garbage and mucus, and they're just not working very well. So when we get the body clean and efficient, we can get all the B12 we need. In the folds of your tongue, there's enough B12 created every day to meet your whole body's needs. Okay? Just in that one place. In your whole body, there's probably many, many times the B12 you need. There are reasons why B12 is not being very well assimilated by most people. Why not? Because in order to assimilate enough B12, you have to be able to break down protein. In order to be able to do that, you have to have enough stomach acid. And most people have low stomach acid. That's the great irony, the great hoax, the great marketing hoax of the 20th century. Okay, throughout the 20th century, probably at least the last half of the 20th century, number one selling medication in North America and probably Europe as well, England. Anyone know?
Antacids.
Antacids, exactly. Rolaids, Tums, things like this, over the counter as well as prescription. Antacids were the number one category of drugs sold throughout the last half of the 20th century. They've been outperformed over the last 20 plus years by Viagra and its counterparts, but until they're still number two. And the irony is, and it's a huge hoax because people don't need these antacids. They don't have too much acid. Most people don't have enough acid. I have mentioned this once before. Anyone remember why? Why do people not have enough acid? I think, people don't know, but I believe it's because most people are severely dehydrated. Well, how would that factor in? Well, first of all, everything is interconnected. Okay? But this factors in very simply because a healthy stomach is protected by a layer of mucus. That layer of mucus prevents the hydrochloric acid, which has a pH of 1, which means it's 1,000,000 times more acidic than water. It's pretty powerful stuff, okay? That hydrochloric acid it's designed to break down protein. Well, why would it not break down the stomach lining? It would, except for the mucus protects the stomach. Now, what's mucus made of? Water. It's made of water. When your body is severely dehydrated, and there isn't enough water to do everything that's vitally important to your body, guess what it's going to do? It's going to have an incomplete, not healthy mucous membrane covering the stomach. And if that's what's going on, my prediction is that your intelligent body is going to say, oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and dilute the stomach acid a bit so we don't digest the stomach. That sounds like a pretty intelligent thing to do, especially given that we're not intended to consume a lot of protein in the first place. We don't need to consume a lot of protein. We're not protein eaters. We're designed to get our protein incidentally from consuming the fruits and vegetables that we eat. So we don't really need to have a lot of hydrochloric acid, but the body turns it down on purpose to protect the stomach. The result of that is we don't wind up being able to get the vitamin B12 into our bloodstream, into our body, okay, even though it's there. So does that help?
Oh yeah.
Good.
So I remember something from years ago, I don't know too much about it. Somebody said you get B12 from the soil, and you said that.
Well, there's bacteria in the soil, so
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you have noticed this, looking at your windows pissed off because I was doing it, but I'll walk through the garden, pick the cherry tomatoes off plants and eat them. I don't wash them first? No, I don't.
No.
What if they're dirty? Then I guess I'll eat a little bit of dirt. So what? I mean, what do you think the animals in nature do? It's not a problem. So I eat all my food that way out of the garden. Whenever I've grown food, even lettuce. I mean, obviously if you're growing spinach, which usually grows in sandy soil, you might want to get the sand off. Because if it's gritty, that doesn't feel good in your teeth. But, if something is dirty, I'm going to get that off. I might rub it off. I might even wash it if it looks like I need to. But otherwise, I don't wash my organic food. There's no need to. And I'm probably getting some B12 on the surface of my food as a result of that. But I'm probably getting vitamin B12 from the water we're drinking. I'm not drinking very much of it, but because it's spring water. It's not been poisoned by chlorine and other chemicals. So the bacteria that are naturally going to occur in all water are going to be there too. And there's probably some B12 there. Okay? The closer we live to nature, the better off we're going to be. People create problems for themselves. And it's not just with putting chemicals in the water, it's sterilizing everything. I mean, when we think about how our immune systems work, we're designed to come into contact with all kinds of stuff. And as a result of coming into contact, the body sets up defenses. So the stuff that's actually a threat isn't going to be an issue. Well, most people live in sterile environments. Everything has to be perfectly, spick and span and spotless. And what that means is the body may not really be prepared. Because, we don't, let's say we don't encounter that organism at all until we encounter a whole bunch of it because someone's sick. Whereas, if we were simply living in a more natural way, we'd probably be encountering it all the time in tiny little amounts. And the body would be able to deal with that and become accustomed to it. So, I don't wash my food. I don't worry about it at all.